What was the first trip you ever took internationally?
My parents had me really later in life, so they weren't doing the camping trips. They wanted to go down to like the Caribbean. So I went down to Bahamas when I was really little. I was like 2 or 3, and it really stuck with me. I still remember like looking out of the port or of the on the plane, looking out of the window and just being like enamored by it. And I remember getting in the water and falling out of my little like floaty thing that had like a little it was like a little worm, and I fell out of it and went underwater and opened my eyes underwater and seeing like all these fish. I like still have that like really visceral memory of it. 3.
3.
Yeah, it's like the only thing I remember. I like don't remember what I did yesterday, but for me, travel, like the choice to be in travel wasn't actually a choice. I just always knew I was going to be in it, and I didn't exactly know how or why or in what way. I just was so drawn to it, and I just remember thinking this in high school. Like it was the only thing that made sense to me. And when I was on trips with my family, even little trips, I grew up on the East Coast, so going to like Cape Cod or whatever, I just felt like very alive, very present, and it was, out of everything out there, fashion or this or that, it was the one thing that I felt was really meaningful. Not to steal your word, but it felt like the most important thing I could be doing, and so I just really wanted to be in travel. I wanted to be not only just traveling, but like helping other people to travel. So when I went to college, I was always into like journalism and English and stuff like that. But when I went into college, I started a travel magazine because we didn't have one at our university. And so it was really, really exciting. I was the editor-in-chief and trying to get all these people to submit or whatever. And the outpouring was crazy because everybody has these amazing transformative stories, and everybody, experiences different places totally differently. And my college was really focused on, there was a huge international component. I went to Tufts in Boston. So there's a huge international component there, and there's also pretty much I think it was 90% of students study abroad. So it was really built, it was part of the culture, and that's part of the reason why I picked that college. But I started Tufts Traveler, and then in the summers I was interning at National Geographic. I was like the little editorial intern running around, and I just always wanted to be in that. And it was at the magazines actually, and those internships that they kind of told me at the time to get out of magazines, because that was right before things went digital and Kindles and everything. It was when magazines were closing. Actually, the magazine I used to work for was called National Geographic Adventure, which is now I think just online. I don't think they even printed anymore. They shuttered the offices that I was in while I was there. So
they shut the offices while you were there?
Well, yeah, they locked me in. No, at the very end, it was the end of my summer, they were closing down that year. So that's why I kind of switched over to kind of more broadcast and TV and digital, and I worked at NBC right after college. I was a page there and kind of saw the unromantic, ugly side of TV and realized I wanted to go more into digital and I wanted to go back to travel, because that was about, I was working on the Today Show, and it was what trends for your dog's haircuts. It was so stupid, and hearing a room full of really intelligent people talking about this, and it's why are we talking? Who cares? And they're Kelley, you need to go find the expert on dog grooming. I was oh my god, okay.
No.
So I just had to get back into something that felt more authentic for me, and so I went Craigslist. I found Trip Films, which is at the time was the only travel video website out there, and it was just starting. There was only 2 people who were running it. It was the former founder of IGoUgo, which was actually kind of the precursor to TripAdvisor. He was starting it, and he hired me, and so we worked from coffee shops in 2008, and I stayed there for 6 years.
You have such a good pedigree as a journalist. Working at the Today Show or working at magazines, you have that well-roundedness about you, but wanting to keep coming back to travel. Okay, so after your Craigslist stint, even though not at Craigslist, you start doing these stories. When did it become apparent to you that hey, I can do this as a freelancer and start getting jobs for people?
Well, it was one of the best jobs I ever had. I still look back at the time as being just so exciting, because the travel, I focused on, obviously it's a video website, so we focused on just travel video, and it wasn't really happening at that time. In 2008, I was going on YouTube and trying to find anybody posting anything that had to do with travel that wasn't about a cat or something, and then messaging them on YouTube and bringing them over. So I kind of helped develop this community of a lot of familiar faces that you guys will know now that, kind of fostered this emerging travel video community, and I was part of that too because I was, you know, interfacing with the different brands and the destinations and being like, get these guys gigs and send them here, and you know, we were paying like $25 a video, like very cheap, but getting the destinations to host them and stuff. And a lot of times, since I was talking to them so much, they were like, yeah, we want you to come, like, so that kind of helped me get sort of the background and courage and experience to be able to do it on my own. Like, you know, I'm gonna just try to make this freelance thing work full time, and luckily I have so far. I mean, I'm not starving yet, so it's been really good. It's been about 3 years. It kind of coincided with my move out here from the East Coast. So now, yeah, I work directly with different brands, you know, from most of them travel related, but like from luggage or fashion to like destinations or hotels. And the focus has been a little bit more on like the luxury, kind of like these epic bucket list experiences, and always all about like locals and local interviews and getting the local voice on the camera.
About how many trips you do a year?
Gosh, there was 1 year where I think I did like 15 like 10-day trips, and then like little things in between, and that was crazy. I also got married that year, so that guy over there, and we did a destination wedding, don't worry, so there's another trip in there. It slowed down a little bit by my own design because I was getting a little burnt out of the last frontier type places too, the places you need to get to now before they're going to be completely changed. I'd like to go back to Cuba. I was there for 2 days, but I'd like to go and explore more. I just kind of did Havana. I'd like to go outside of it because that was before they opened it up. It was, and I only had a journalist visa, which was actually 48 hours. So we had to leave at like 5 in the morning, and they had to like kick us out 48 hours later. So we shot 2 videos in those 2 days. It was really intense. But
so where do you tell people to go?
I guess the one I always go back to is the first thing I think of is Istanbul, because it really moved me and changed me, and I went in 2009, and I just think it's such a magical, unique place that kind of is like the epicenter of East and West, and also like old and new. You know, it's like the oldest religions had hubs there, you know, where they just were the what am I thinking of? Hagia Sophia was like on top of Constantinople, so they just put up, you know, Christianity, they just put things over like paganism, everything was just all right there. And then now it's super modern in certain areas too. And also it's like, I feel like it's very welcoming for Western travelers, and it's like a great, really authentic way to kind of dive into the East a little bit. But
did you get to travel outside of Istanbul?
No, I spent 1 week there. I kind of try to really, if I'm going to a place, to really like dive into it for a week. I've noticed that if I just hop around one day here, one day here, I never have like a really meaningful experience in any of them. It's all kind of a blur. And you know, it could rain that day, or you could feel bad or be hungover. You know, it kind of colors your whole thing. It's nice if you just really stay there, meet the locals, and do like, we did some little side trips. I think it was like a black market, like, Dave, what was it? It was like pigeons. Yeah, so they were like pigeons, like fighting pigeons, and we stumbled into it. I was definitely the only woman there, and it was really funny and crazy. And we went to another place that was like down the river, and we took like this not seaworthy vessel to get there, where all the local like kids are hanging out and smoking hookah on this like beautiful riverbank next to like a cemetery, and that was like the cool thing to do. I don't know, it's just, you know, those little things you need to like make time and allow for time for them to happen.
They were pigeons and they were fighting?
Yeah, they were like really big, scary pigeons. Yeah.
We don't support black market pigeon fighting.
Right. It was crazy though. That's like, you know, we were asking people at our hotels and just talking to locals. No, we just kind of observed and I took photos.
Okay, did you bet on it? So you work with like tourism boards and brands.
Yeah.
Are you constantly hustling for these, or like do people come to you? Is it more like, how does it work for people who are interested in that kind of stuff?
It's definitely a give and take, and sometimes I feel like when it rains and it pours, I'll get like a lot, and then sometimes I have to really start hustling and busting my butt to get more. But I mean, it's pretty good that I've been able to be a part of like the travel massive community. So people have approached me, and I was in New York for 7 years, and I also ran travel massive there. I don't know if you knew that. So
and really quick again, anyone here who's not familiar with travel massive, I highly recommend just being involved with the LA community.
Travel community network.
It's great, but Kelley does such a fantastic job just at the events and bringing people together. You do. You're just. It's always really good to be at an event, just see you there, and just I don't know, you're just like a warm beacon of bringing people together.
Oh, thanks.
What are the things, because you've been so many places, whether they're for, you know, obviously working doing a story, or just in general as a traveler, what's that like thing that moved, touched, or inspired you?
Right, I think that most of my travel has been for work. So my personal travel has been rather limited, and honestly, I'm so fortunate that my job is interviewing people and like getting in their homes and getting to go deeper. because it's allowed me to have a lot of these moments that I can't even believe I've had, and I wouldn't have had if I was just a tourist, you know. But the one that, I mean, when you gave me these questions, I had like 12 answers for this, but the one that I think I have to say is going to Cartagena, actually, and I did a shoot there, and part of the itinerary was going into a home of this local family, but they didn't know us from, you know, anybody. They could not speak any English, and I do not speak Spanish, so it was me and my cameraman, and we didn't have anybody with us. There was no like producer or fixer or anything. We took a cab. They dropped us off on the outskirts of Cartagena in this like tiny little house that was so cute, and we just saw all these warm faces. All the houses on the block had all their doors open, like waiting for us to arrive. There were Christmas lights everywhere because it was December, and it was this family that had 4 daughters and the hardworking dad and the like super bubbly mom. And I'm telling you, like, we could barely communicate. I think me and the girls were they were showing me pictures of like Justin Bieber, and that was probably the only word that we like really understood. But we like communicated the whole night and had some of the, like, it was just one of the best, most magical nights I think I've ever had. And
It was authentic.
It was so authentic. I was their grandma was there too, because she lives with them. So I was in the kitchen with her making plantains, and she was yelling at me because I wasn't like smashing them hard enough. And she's grabbing my hand, she's like, smash. And like the little girls are giggling and like grabbing me to show me their rooms. And they're all like 2 to a room and tiny rooms, but like showing me their posters and pictures of boys on Instagram. And it was so cute. And the dad's just looking at his daughters, and they're like hugging him. It was just such a like lovely moment and family like to be a part of. They were just so open. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I don't do this in LA, and I haven't even experienced this with people that speak my own language, my own culture. It was just like, it really shocked me. I'm still in touch with one of the girls.
Did it give you a different appreciation for things too?
Yeah, absolutely. And also just the people of Cartagena, I'm like, wow, they would do this. They would just let these 2 random kids into their, you know, home and like treat us really well and give us all this food and have a whole night with us. It was really special.
What does travel mean to you? So you have it, you know, even though it is your job and something you do and you get hired to go cover these great stories, but also, you know, it's part of you.
Yeah.
So what does it mean to you?
It means a lot to me. It's so much more than just a job. It's like the way it's changed my life. It's changed who I am, and I feel like I can constantly evolve and grow to be a better person through traveling. Whatever, even a trip where I go someplace and I don't even like it very much, I still learn something, and I still learn from the people there. To me, it's all about, I guess, like, it's education. It's the best way that I can continue to educate myself, to make myself more open, and to understand this, you know, amazing planet that we're in. I feel like we're here for a very short amount of time, and I want to make the most of it, and that's how I feel I'm making the most of it, is by seeing it and appreciating it and understanding it, and hopefully sharing it and inspiring others to do the same.
So you mentioned education. I like to tell people all the time, it's like, traveling is like a lot of lessons that you learn, you get to bring it back to your life. Is there a lesson that you've ever, you know, experienced that you can really see how you brought back to your life?
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of like what you said about being open, it made me such a more open person, and I struggle when I get back here and get back into my rhythm and our routines, and you know, I was in New York for a while and people don't really like look at you, but I've really tried to become more open and to put myself into situations where I have to be more open, and I feel like that I really took that away from all of my trips, because when I'm traveling I am super open because I'm kind of, you know, fish out of water, and I don't know where I'm going, and I need to ask people.